Hello and welcome to another Driven Catalyst live stream. It's my favorite day of the week, New Music Friday, and this week I listened to my first ever album that I've listened to from Ken Pomeroy. I'm going to check and see what the dealio is, if this is a debut album. It looks like not. It looks like first album came in 2021, Christmas Lights in April. But today we are talking about Cruel Joke, which is the latest release. And I am going to read out her Spotify bio. But before that, if you are new here, I am by no means an expert. I am a fanatic. I love music. I'm a music appreciator. I don't always have the language to describe what I love, but we do New Music Fridays here at Driven Catalyst just because it's really fun for me. I like listening to new music with a lot of intentionality. I like making notes, and I share those notes with you. So at no point am I thinking that I am the expert or an advisor on the choices made musically at all. But this is just sort of a fun exercise, and I figure it's worth sharing. I always love talking about the new music I listen to and love, and this feels like a fun outlet to share it with the world. Before we really dive in, too, I was missing on Monday and Tuesday. We didn't live stream because I was out of office. I went and saw Lucy Dacus at the Colorado Red Rocks, and since we are debriefing music on Fridays, it felt relevant. Red Rocks is a destination venue. It was on my bucket list for a long time, and it was absolutely insane to be able to see a show there. It blew me away. I'm bit by the Red Rocks bug. I already have Brandi Carlile tickets that I got the day after returning from that trip. So I just cannot say enough good things. If it's on your list at all, if you hope to see the Red Rocks or a show there, if you have the opportunity, ever go. That's one thing that really struck me, though. I kept interacting with Denverians, people of Denver, and they just were like, well, yeah, this is our venue. And I was like blown away by that. I cannot imagine like the Red Rocks being essentially like my local House of Blues. You know what I mean? Obviously, every venue is different. There's a different experience at every venue. But I was very blown away by how easy and accommodating and magical and scenic it was. So that is just my first unrelated little music note of the live stream for New Music Friday. Is just Red Rocks is everything you could dream of and more. I don't want to overhype it, but I do feel like it was overhyped for me. Like, it was very, very built up, and I feel like the experience was still just as magical as I dreamed it would be. So I don't really feel like I'm running the risk of overhyping it. But yeah, so I kind of did some digging to come across this album. It is what I would call country. This, again, harkens back to the fact that I don't necessarily totally know what I'm talking about. I'm just describing what I like, and I'm excited to do so. But I would comfortably say this is like a country album. I've never listened to music from Ken Pomeroy. Also, I want to disclaim, I've done my best to look up pronunciations and such for names. I'll shout out some of the producers that worked on different tracks. And then there's some tracks that have names that also I had to look up. I've done my best to be diligent about that. It matters. And if I get it wrong, please excuse me. So without further ado, I'm going to read the Spotify bio. Ken Pomeroy will break your heart. She'll do it with a single line, sometimes just one word. The pain begins as an empathetic ache. Then, as Pomeroy sings her stories, you begin to see yourself in her hurt and hope, and you realize we're in this together. Pausing on the bio read to say that that is one huge takeaway I do have after listening to this album. I'm a very lyrically oriented person. When I listen to music and consume it as a text, I really do first engage with the lyricism, and I have a lot of notes about just the lyrics in general. I have direct quotes I'll read to you. I had read this bio before diving into the album. And kind of my takeaway on that I was like, okay, I'll be the judge of that. I know I just logged on and disclaimed that this is not, like, I don't think I know best. But as a lyric lover, it is kind of, I have my holy grail artists. And I do think sometimes it takes a level of profundity to impress me, like really stay with me. And this album has absolutely my seal of approval, which is worth nothing. But it's an album I'm very excited to listen to ambient-wise. It's beautiful sonically. But I just would absolutely say, like, you were not kidding, whoever wrote this Spotify bio. It is lyrically so strong and enriched, and it's beautiful. So now continuing with the bio. Pomeroy's outstretched hand to the wounded manifests as startlingly good songs. Her soprano is comforting, almost sweet, but perhaps most powerful, delivering a devastating line. A deft guitarist, she opts for beds of rootsy strings that can soothe or haunt. But it's her writing that really shines and stings. Raised in Moore, Oklahoma, Pomeroy is Cherokee. Her mama gave her the name, and there is a name in script I cannot read, which means little wolf with yellow hair. Existing in the intersection of past, present, and future, Pomeroy effortlessly channels the ancestral wisdom of her elders and her lived experience through her lyrical and instrumental composition. Writing as a cathartic release has culminated in Pomeroy's highly anticipated new album, Cruel Joke. The 12-track contemporary folk collection creates a wild but safe space of Pomeroy's own, a space that, like 22-year-old Pomeroy herself, 22 years old, folks, which absolutely blows me away, is brutally honest, profoundly Native American, and undeniably brilliant. And I want to actually, again, it's like I'm not by any means at all an authority on this. But I would say after listening to the album, almost, like, this is just such an apt description for the album. This bio is so fitting. Some of the things that stood out. Let me circle back to because this bio says things that it says it better than I could have said it. Deft guitarist, she opts for beds of rootsy strings that can soothe or haunt as a dichotomy here. I think is so fitting. And then her soprano is comforting, almost sweet, but perhaps most powerful, delivering a devastating line. Deft guitarist, that comes through. Yes. Okay. And then contemporary folk collection creates a wild but safe space of Pomeroy's own. I don't know. Just a lot of the verbiage in that, I think, is just really, it really fits. You know, they cooked. Okay. Now let's dive in. One thing of note, again, back to some of the background on this. So let's talk about some of the production. And we are going to enter, again, an era of me saying names that I did look up. But also I want to acknowledge they still may be wrong. So I apologize ahead and mean nothing but respect to these people. So producers Gary Pachosa, who has worked with the Chicks on Landslide, Traveling Soldier, and I'm sure more. Sierra Farrell, who sings the song that went viral on TikTok. Oh, God, it's so bad. I always want to sing it. In Dreams, it's called. And if you look up In Dreams on TikTok, you'll know exactly the song I'm talking about. It blew up. It's beautiful. Gary Pachosa produced on that song too. Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton. This is a pretty big deal producer, I would say. I don't know. I hadn't heard of him, but that's because I'm me. You know what I mean? I am only new into toe dipping and learning my stuff about this. But I mean, hey, this is quite the discography. And then Dakota McDaniel, who has primarily worked with Ken Pomeroy, worked on this whole album from the looks of it. And then, there's another name in the mix. Oh, yes. Okay. Colton John, who has worked with Zach Bryan, was the primary artist that I recognized from his discography, worked on this album as well. So those are things of note. They stood out to me. Good clear vocals across the album. I'm such a lyric person that I care a lot if I can hear what the artist is saying, and I'm so glad that it is so easy to make out what is being said, but it's not overpronounced, right? So they're good clear vocals, but it's not like, how sometimes it's almost a little too clear, the music takes too much of a back seat and it almost starts to feel like a musical in a weird way, or just I don't know. It starts to feel like there's no longer a world being built by the music and the lyrics together when the vocals are too clear. And this, I would say, is what is it, Mama, Baby Bear, Father Bear, or whatever. This is the Goldilocks perfect mix, I think. Okay, now let's actually dive in. I am going to go song by song, and I'm going to do my best to be brief but thorough. So first track is Peridalila, which is a word I already was shaking in my boots knowing I was going to have to look up and was worried I wasn't going to remember how to pronounce, but Ken croons it. First word of the song, I think, is the pronunciation of Peridalila. And I was like, well, what the heck does that mean? Peridalila is a psychological phenomenon where individuals perceive specific, often meaningful patterns or objects in random or ambiguous stimuli. So the example given is seeing a face in clouds or a shape in noise. That's interesting. I copied and pasted the auto generated shortened response, but I did see a lot of pictures of the way that you recognize a face in an outlet, like an outlet plug, or what's another common one, cars. You kind of automatically imagine a face in. That is the Peridalila effect, which is just so cool. The titular line from the album is on this song. I guess a cruel joke is all we can afford, which I always make a note of that wherever the titular line comes up, how the album got its name, perhaps. But yeah, okay, that's all I have written down for Peridalila. It was an immediate save for me, though. And I guess this just sets forth the theme of introducing concepts or ways of saying things that kind of make you sit and think. I feel like a lot of this album had things that I'm going to kind of turn over in my head quite a bit. And writing a song about Peridalila, this phenomenon, and I think the way it comes up lyrically in the song is making reference of seeing someone in the wreckage of something, I think is how it's used. Tell me what you see. Yes, envisioned you lying in the debris. And I don't know. I really like that. As a Lucy Dacus fan, could not believe my eyes. I did not recognize your face in the rubble, I think is the lyric. Kind of gives that. I like it. Moving on to track 2. This was another immediate save, which is always how you know it's going to be a great album, in my opinion. And I do want you to know, I do sift around a bit. There's EPs I tried listening to. I thought maybe today I was going to go for just a whole bunch of singles that were released today and talk about them individually, but nothing was quite scratching the itch. I didn't really know what I wanted to listen to when I started looking around for New Music Friday release to listen to. And so when I found this album, I was very excited. I like the name of the album. I like the album art. It all is just beautiful and clever to me, I think. I really, really, really am. I'm a Ken Pomeroy fan now. So next song is Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, immediate save. And this is the beginning of me just typing up lyrics that I thought were clever. I'd talk circles around any wolf wearing sheep's clothing if I knew he's just a dog trying to get to you. I'd sacrifice my life or go back to high school just to dance with you in the rain. I read them together. They're separate within the song. They're plain statements if you really just let them lie, right? But if you sit and if you're handed this song on a printed out piece of paper in class and you are told to analyze it as a poem, because it is a poem, that's what lyrics are, there are so many worlds you could build. And I would say that about most of the songs on this album. And I just really appreciate that about it. Something about the contrast of I'd sacrifice my life or go back to high school. The drama of that, I just really liked. And that's something, too, that I made a note about it later on the track list. But I'm going to say it now because it fits. A huge part, too, of what makes a lot of these lyrics so strong, in my opinion, is how the meter, I think that's what I mean, too. And I keep saying, like, if you were given this in a class and told to analyze it, it just really is a poem in its truest form. And you could build so many different worlds with the lyrics and the story being told. The meter plays a role in it too. The rhythm and the lyricism walk hand in hand throughout the album in a way that I feel like, because I listen to a lot of indie sad girl music, you can get away with a lot in that kind of music, right? It's a shower beer, it's a payment plan. That's a bad example because we love Scott Street, we love Phoebe Bridgers. But you can get away with got a stack of mail in a tall can, it's a shower beer and a payment plan. It makes so much sense, but also it is sort of disjointed and fragmented and what are we saying? And it doesn't necessarily have to be as much of a cohesive world-built story being told. And again, it's crazy to use Stranger in the Alps as an example of that because that is such a cohesive story world built, in my opinion. I love that album. That's just like when you think indie sad girl, of course. I feel like I hate to water things down like that. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm putting respect on indie music. It is a work of art. But I feel like if you were like cookie cutter indie music, the greats aside, if you were just... you get away with a level of kitsch lyrically that that I could almost say the plainness or approachability of some of the lyricism across this album, you could put them on the same plane, right? But this, it's not that at all, because I feel like there's a cohesive story being told, world being built, and the meter, the rhythm that is used to make the rhyme schemes and the progression of the lyrics. We're going to skip ahead a little bit. Skipping ahead to... Hold on, I'm so sorry. There is a sequence of lyrics I wrote down just because I feel like the progression of what's being said is a great example of what's going on here. And now I can't find it. Okay, so just do accept my apologies. And I'm going to have to just pull it together and figure out how to say what I'm trying to say. But basically, the way the lines in a stanza work together or conflict is artful. I think that's exactly what I mean. Okay, so that was Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. Phenomenal song. 2 tracks in, she's already blown me away, right? Let's keep going. Rango is track 3. I immediately wrote down the way her voice chimes. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no. Okay, sorry, I skipped ahead. But the way she consistently sings Rango throughout the song is, like, just ridiculous. Her voice is so beautiful. It's this, I would say, is a good song, too, where whatever it was says, haunting, where it's both haunting but also comforting. And towing that line, I feel like Rango is a song where that really especially fits. I know you work from inside and out, walk like a stray dog on the way to a standoff. I know how you work from inside and out. I was like, that didn't make sense. I think I have those written down because I like the line delivery of them. I think the way she sings them is beautiful. The way her voice chimes the word wrong is absolutely beautiful. I've written down. And then I have Katie Kirby, Fireman. Because if you know Katie Kirby, there's an artist, Katie Kirby of Keeled Skills. That's a Texas record label. Katie Kirby has one of my favorite albums of all time under her belt. It is Cool Dry Place, and the song Fireman from Cool Dry Place. Her vocals on it reminds me of some of the vocals on Rango. I feel like Samia too. We're kind of in that realm vocally. Just beautiful, really beautiful. And then I have Bright and Beautiful guitar written down for Rango as well. Moving on, we are on track 4, Rodeo Clown. I have timestamp 140, the build of the kick drum I really liked. And then there is an ambient electric guitar buzz that I really liked. That's all I have for Rodeo Clown, but I do remember liking it. Number 5, Coyote. This is the first song that I took note of. Colton John produced too. I'm a big Zach Bryan fan. Musically, I like Zach Bryan's music a lot, so that's pretty big. That's pretty exciting. That's a producer that has worked with Zach Bryan. From my understanding, it's not. I won't speak on that. I was gonna try and delineate which albums Colton John produced, but I don't remember well enough to speak on it, so never mind. The waltzy rhythm feels instant classic to me. I mentioned in my live stream where I talked about the new Jimmy, come on now, what's his name? Briston Maroney album. Some songs you just hear it for the first time and it doesn't feel like the first time you've heard the song, but it in fact has to be because it's album release day. The waltzy nature of this song, the rhythm of it just felt instant classic to me. Timestamp 30 seconds in, don't dare turn away is the line. The way the music builds at that point stood out to me and was beautiful. 1:30ish is the timestamp for when John Moreland's vocals come in. I don't know any of John Moreland's work, but it is the one vocal feature on this album, and there are beautiful harmonies for the rest of the song after John Moreland joins. And then I made a note that Ken's voice leans vaguely Adrian Linkery in some of the higher notes. So we're in this realm of Katie Kirby, Samia, soprano, but it gets a little like the the almost resonance, the way it, I don't know, almost rattles the of Adrian Linker's vocals. There's some notes that Ken hits on this song that feel like that to me. Again, if it's something like that I'm mentioning it because I like it. And so I don't know if I'm botching the way I'm explaining it or if it's coming off badly. I mean it complimentary. I love Adrian Linker, and I love that vocal quality that Adrian Linker has. So I almost said line. That's what that was. Line, track 6, Stranger. The wind keeps on hitting me like my mother used to. Unlike her, I feel like it doesn't want to. That is a crazy lyric. Again, it's like you are saying something plain, but it's like I just got punched in the stomach. I just literally wrote, sit with that. Think on that. Because like there's so much to unpack there. That's a profound statement. The wind keeps on hitting me like my mother used to, right? It's like an admission, right? You've just shared something pretty big and vulnerable, the speaker has, right? And then we move into, unlike her, I feel like it doesn't want to. So now I'm sitting with the idea that like the speaker is expressing this feeling of like, maybe you're getting just, if the wind is hitting you the way your mother used to, it feels violent, right? It's a violent wind. But something about this violent wind still feels relenting to the speaker, right? Unlike her, I feel like it doesn't want to. What do you make of that, right? Like, that is just such a strongly worded, clever, beautiful piece of prose right there. Yeah, so I have something striking to me about Ken Pomeroy based on this album is how clever and poetic her lyricism is and how the pacing and rhythm of the songs complement the lyricism. That's what I wrote while listening through Stranger. And then I have more lyrics written down. For the first time in a long time, I allow the awkward silence. And then it's followed by a moment of silence in the song. This is like something I've seen people talk about online a lot. It's something that I always enjoy when I hear it. It's when songs make reference to silence or everything stopping, like in Dress from Taylor Swift. She says, say my name and everything just stops. And then all of the music falls out. Moments of silence in songs used for impact just always stick with me. I really enjoy it. And then... So the way she hits the line, I'm the stranger, in the song Stranger, something about the vocal quality of it, not to just compare her vocals to everyone I know and love, but something about how she hits it reminds me of some I had meant to write down the lyric, but the song Used To from Wilma Laverne Minor. Favorite EP, one of my favorite EPs of all time by Wilma Laverne Minor. I think it's, again, sort of this croony vocal that just reminded me of that. And I made a note of it because I really enjoyed it. Not once while driving did I think about dying. That's new. I guess hearing songs about someone that's gone by someone that's gone changed my mind. What? Like, oh my God. Again, it's like so much of this lyricism. I just want to sit down, see it printed out with a pen and a highlighter and just like sit with it. It is so carefully constructed and meaningful, but so like it's concise, and the words being used are not overly self-important, right? This is pretty plain language used to build a story and say very profound things. Yeah, so I have written down, I'm pretty blown away by the storytelling and the lyricism from Ken. Like, wow. Stranger was an immediate save too. I guess not an immediate save. It was one of those songs that I got to the end of and almost wanted to replay it immediately. But I, of course, like went in and saved it. And felt like, oh my gosh, thank God I have haptic buzz on my phone so that when I like a song on Spotify, I can like, I feel it resonate through my phone, because this just felt like a big deal. It's like such a good song. Moving on to track 7, Dogs Die. Just some lyrics written down. You recognize my shadow, said you'd never seen my face before though. Again, okay, so you can really feel the way the rhythm complements the pacing of that, right? Because when I just read it out, it felt weird. But the delivery of it when she sings it fits. And that's what I've been trying to impart. Accomplishes a lot with lyricism, true poet, and then guitar plucked riff with ambient production. Just a really pretty song. It's a song I like the idea of like cooking to on a cozy evening. But yeah, again, like that's just a lyric that I just want to turn over in my head and really think of all the different ways it could be analyzed. You recognized my shadow, said you'd never seen my face before though. Like to recognize someone's shadow, but to have never seen their face before. Like all the things that could mean. Phenomenal. Gray Skies was an immediate save for me. That's track 8. Don't fight it till the end. I wrote is the lyric, and then the electric guitar that follows that I liked a lot. Once again, this is a level of lyricism and storytelling that I could commit to sitting with and analyzing over and over. Gray Skies absolutely was just the track that it blew me away, I think, lyrically. I don't have a lot written down, but I just remember being really taken aback by it and blown away. And then I have music in this track is God tunnel worthy. What that means is I recently took a road trip with one of my best friends, and we like turned this corner, like we're on this stretch of Texas highway where it was like pretty rural around. It was all rolling hills, like roads, wilderness, farm road. And like it was the most beautiful, crazy sunset. And we were listening to our country playlist, which is all like really beautiful, like Landslide by the Chicks type country. And like it felt so, I don't know, like we were in our own little world on this highway that we called it the God tunnel because it was like just so beautiful and ethereal. And I wrote that Gray Skies was like a God tunnel worthy song sonically. So yeah, that's what that means. Next is Flannel Cowboy. This is track 9. I have written the acoustic guitar and slide guitar ? We start with I love. It's always fun when musically the song starts off really strong. It's crazy when I feel knocked out by lyrics, but if a song starts and I'm just like, oh, hell yeah, that's always fun. This was an immediate save. I have written down Green Eyes mention. I have a theory that like most of the best songs, if there's an eye color mentioned, it's usually green eyes. And I find that in books too. Like I think Gale from the Hunger Games has green eyes. I must repent, but Gale was my favorite growing up when I first read the Hunger Games books. Obviously, I don't stand by that anymore, but yeah, I feel like a lot of great book characters have green eyes. I feel like a lot of the best songs are written about green eyes. Lucy Dacus has green eyes and sings about green eyes a lot. Taylor Swift, a lot of their Red album, I think, mentions green eyes. So, I don't know. That I think is like just, it's at this point proof to me, or it's just like a proved theory. So, Flannel Cowboy, green eyes mention, we just have to reference it. Love it. Persistence of the slide guitar is fun. Timestamp 145, the background electric guitar called out to me the same way. Okay, yeah. Same way that the Third Eye Blind, the song Background, the electric guitar strums in that song do. I want to say it's like 110 is the timestamp. The fact that I have it memorized is crazy, but that's how much I like the or the hey, that's not what it sounds like at all. But like the just the electric guitar in background by Third Eye Blind. There's a little bit of electric guitar in Flannel Cowboy at 145, and it reminded me of that, and it like scratches a brain itch. I could listen to it on loop. That one little piece of the song is historic for me. I loved it. Similarly, like I think at this point Third Eye Blind is in my most listened to artists for this year so far, based on my Scrabbles or whatever, my listening history, and I'm pretty sure just because of how much I've listened to Background, and I listen to Background so much because of that little guitar part. So when I say I really liked the guitar at 145 and Flannel Cowboy, I mean it. Then I said, okay, yeah, so the buzzier electric guitar that we start working with throughout the track, the rest of the track, it makes a lot of sense to me because the buzzier guitar feels sort of warmer, more dissonant, and it almost feels like it's like fuzzy, right? And then it feels like flannel. I don't know. Is that stupid and funny to say? It just felt like it fit with this world we're building. Sometimes I don't think the things that I say probably make sense to anyone other than me, but I don't know. To me, it felt clever in that way. I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds fuzzy and like a flannel and cozy. And then I also wrote, some of this song reminds me of a song from Beth Parks that I listened to a lot in high school. I don't know how many people know Beth Parks or the song We Hold Each Other from Beth Parks, which I do wonder if it's a cover. But I listened to that song so much back in my day. And some of this song reminded me of that. So I had to make a note. Next, track 10, Days Getting Darker. Oh, I just loved the line, send me back to where I was before I knew how this felt. Take me what I am no more. The devil's hiding in the Bible Belt. This I feel like is a good example too of the way like the lyricism is structured. It's pretty wordy for the rhyme scheme to be felt and belt, but it works because of the rhythm. And again, just like, hey, should we just sit and stare at a wall and think about these lyrics some more? Because they're so strong. Timestamp 325. I wrote Tremolo Love. There's like a little like tremolo that I enjoyed. And then I wrote, this song feels so big, storytelling and world building wise. Another one, I think you need to get your highlighters out and really analyze and think about like how many different stories this song could be telling. We are moving on. Track 11, Cicadas. Musical shift vibe wise. Oh yeah. So Days Getting Darker finishes, and I feel like we're in a very peaceful kind of slow fade out place, and then Cicadas starts, and it sort of almost wakes you up, which is funny and it fits. Cicadas. So I just made a note of the musical shift because when you listen to an album in order and something like that happens, you know, it's just worthwhile to notice, I think. And then I have the lyrics written down. She said my Saturn was on fire. What a liar. I'm a liar. The subversion of expectation there just kind of caught me off guard. You assume that the speaker is calling she who said that their Saturn was on fire is a liar. But then it comes with this admission that I'm a liar, right? I thought that was cool. And then I have this directly copied and pasted from Genius, the website that lists song lyrics and talks to artists. Cicadas was the first song Colton John, Dakota McDaniel, and I recorded as a team, and it took only a few days from beginning to end. One thing about this recording most people ask about is the ending, if it's automated or created using effects. It was actually a complete accident. I had latency in my headphones and sang the harmony that created the organic delay. Thank you, Christopher Colbert, for the, I think it's Colbert, for the lovely and quick master is like the note on Genius, which I thought that's just a crazy happy accident that the ending is like a latency issue, especially in a song called Cicadas. Like there being latency issue, that's the happiest accident ever. And it's a very beautiful ending. So I love hearing stories like that. It just is the coolest thing ever. And then this is the track footer, last track on the album, track 12, song called Innocent Eyes. And I have written down, I'm sure if I knew something about music, I'd have language like the riff and the minor scale on this song feels despondent and warm in a way that translates to a feeling of like future nostalgia. But I don't have the language. Something about the riff, the particular notes in it that you can tell. I do feel like I'm onto something saying it's a minor scale that makes everything feel kind of drearier, but also warm. Again, I feel like this is the dichotomy between haunting and comforting that is mentioned in whoever wrote that Spotify bio. That's just spot on. I feel like Innocent Eyes really leans into that in that way sonically. And then, of course, just because I wrote down future nostalgia, I was like, wait, like that's the name of the Dua Lipa album, which will like never not be such a conundrum for me because I think future nostalgia as a phrase is so profound and cool and poetic that you don't expect a dance pop album. And like, hey, Dua Lipa, love you, love future nostalgia. Just when you hear the album is called Future Nostalgia, maybe it's just because I'm an indie sad girly. Like, I'm not expecting to be signing up for a dance pop album. So I don't know. That was like a tangent. And then we close with the last lyric that I quoted. The hardest thing is looking back without innocent eyes. I think that's just like a pretty profound thing. And if you really want to get into consuming this album as a whole, trying to figure out what message it sends, what world is being built, what the thesis statement for the album is, the album footer being called Innocent Eyes and the line being the hardest thing is looking back without innocent eyes is, I think it does a lot, accomplishes a lot with few words. Which is, again, I think they say in the bio that Ken Pomeroy will move you with just one word, with a single line, sometimes just one word, right? An empathetic ache. I think that is spot on, that so much is accomplished with few words and with simple words, simple language. That is accomplishing a lot here. I think this album was really phenomenal. I'm going to add it to my music list app that I keep track of what I listen to on. And I think it's safe to say I'm going to be following Ken Pomeroy for a while, and I'm a fan. I'm a very, very big fan. I'm blown away. And I'm excited to have a new artist to really love and follow. So I cannot recommend this album enough. I hope that you listen to it, and I hope that some of what I said resonates, and if it doesn't, it's just enough to me that maybe you gave it a listen, and maybe you wouldn't have before if you hadn't have randomly stumbled across this live stream where I've been yapping for 43 minutes. Well, thank you for tuning in. Once again, this is Driven Catalyst, and this has been the New Music Friday live stream I do every Friday. Come back any other day of the week, and I will be doing more design, user interface stuff, but on Fridays, we talk about music. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday and weekend. Be safe, have fun, do something new, listen to something new, read something new. Take care, and